were performed on October 5th through 9th of 2020. Okay. So you participated in this inspection?
Yes, I was on site those days. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. From Hague Engineering, you were alone. You was alone.
I was the only representative of Hague Engineering during that time. Yes, there was no other Hague engineer on site.
Okay. But on site, were people from HCC?
Yes, many people from HCC.
Okay. So if the inspections took place on October of 2020, that means that, well, it was 3 years after Hurricane Maria landfall in Puerto Rico. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe just over
3
years, yes.
Okay. Your report says that it confirms information already reported orally. What kind of information do you refer? What kind of information was reported orally?
So this was information that I had discussed with HCC, essentially all of the, most, if not all, the contents of this report I had discussed with HCC, and it was my understanding that they had then discussed this information with Triple S.
Okay.
I did not directly tell Triple S anything. I believe that was indirectly done through HCC.
Okay. Now about El Monte Norte, could you describe the premises that you inspect?
Okay, so it was as it says in the description here, I believe an 8-story building that was somewhat of a U shape or a crescent shape, where the front, I believe, faced south for most units. And there was stairwells and elevators that allowed access to the upper levels. There was a flat roof, relatively flat, that was covered with some kind of Modbit membrane. The walls were generally a painted concrete. I believe there was a few areas that had some plaster coverage, especially at stairwells and other interior walls, not necessarily the exterior walls. So, excuse me. There was a chain link fencing surrounding the property and a security gate there towards the south end, but that allowed access in and out of the property. Lots of trees surrounding the property.
Okay. Okay. Let's go through the page number 4. My next question is, I think, okay, it's here in the first sentence. What do you mean when you say that the building exterior walls had no discernible plaster finish?
So sometimes reinforced concrete structures, instead of having paint directly applied to that concrete, there can be a plaster coating that's applied, or just some, half-inch, quarter-inch, some amount of plaster applied to that concrete, and then a paint on the outside of that concrete. That wasn't the case on the exterior walls. However, I believe some of the stairwells and other isolated areas of the building did have plaster, but the exterior walls did not.
Okay. And this is a kind of construction technique?
It's a personal preference on why some people would include it or not include it. It could be argued by having that additional layer on the outside of the concrete. It just provides an additional protection, especially in a coastal environment like this, that salt air and corrosion is very possible for reinforced concrete structures. So by having that additional layer on the outside, it just provides extra resistance to weathering and corrosion from the salt air.
Okay. So it's correct if, this kind of plaster finish, it's part of this design building or part of the design and decision? Or
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And here about the background section, your report mentioned that you met some persons, Omar from CAT, Joshan, the administrator. Did you or you interview Omar, for example?
No, I did not try and obtain any information from him. I know he was there, as I recall, essentially just to attend some of the inspection with us. So as I recalled, he accessed the roof the same time a lot of us went up on the roof. If we were going into a unit interior, occasionally he would accompany us. So I think he was there more just essentially watching us, and there was not, other than just the general hello, how are you? There was no background information that I personally tried to obtain from him.
Okay, and what about Joshan, site administrator? Did you interview him?
I believe I did ask him a few questions, but they also helped us access the roof and other common areas that may be locked or unopened at certain times of the day. So they were extremely helpful in our just general access of the building. So it may have been simple questions like, do you know how long or when was the last time this may have been repainted, or was this roof covering installed, at a certain time, or just general questions. And a lot of that information we've included here in the report.
Okay. Did you interview a condo's representative?
When we accessed unit interiors, so those owners or occupants of the rooms, we did ask them a few questions, including, how long have you been in this particular room? Because if they had not been in the room during Maria and had just moved in, then in all likelihood they would not be able to provide much information on what happened during Maria if they had just moved into the building. But if they had been there for 5 or 10 years, then they may say, okay, yes, we had this happen during Maria. And as you mentioned, that 3 years or more had transpired since passage of Maria. So we utilized a lot of that information provided to us from these owners to put the pieces together and say what happened, because they may have fixed a window or repainted a wall that we're not going to see because it's already been fixed. So if they tell us, hey, we repainted this because it was damaged, or we replaced this because it was damaged, that was extremely important and useful for our evaluation.
Okay. Did you write down the information that you get from those interviews?
Yes, that is all part of the field notes that I had mentioned earlier. So each unit where I accessed the interior, there is an individual file that I wrote those notes down. So that is one of the pieces that you mentioned you would like to review.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for that. I'm going to request the field notes. Okay. Let's go to the page number 5.